We've got more news coming through from Iran at this point, ladies and gentlemen, where now matters have further gone on the boil, with protesters not taking kindly to the death of a 17-year-old protester whose body has been returned by the Iranian security forces to her family after 9 days. 9 days after she went missing. She was part of a protest. Nika Shakarami, she took part in the protests. On the 20th of September, she went missing after she took part in protests in Tehran. Now her nose, she's been found with her body badly mutilated, especially her face. We're given to understand more than 29 injuries have been seen on her face itself, on her head and her face itself. They look like a blunt force being used, or a blunt force object which has been used to smash her nose, smash her face. It looks like she's been subject to very heavy attacks with a baton. Shakarami's family was threatened and told not to hold a memorial service for her. This is the situation that we have, that we are seeing. Multiple hits by a heavy object, possibly a baton. That's what we are given to understand how Nika Shakarami has died. It's a third female death. 92 deaths so far, but 3 shocking deaths because of police atrocities and police excesses that we are witnessing. Burzeen Wagmar, Center for Iranian Studies, SOS London, is with us this evening. Burzeen, good to have you with us after a while. This is Anand here. What is happening in Iran? Is it that there are many more people who are standing up to the orthodoxy of the Iranian government? Or are people moving back to the old religion of Iran, that is Zoroastrianism?
All 31 provinces are in revolt. And if I could update your fatalities figure, Anand, it's 133 now. And 133. Also, since yesterday, we've had reports at Tehran's Sharif University of Technology, which is a very important campus and a varsity in Iran, where security forces have surrounded and started live firing on student protesters. The things are going to get out of hand even worse. The regime obviously has had to find some distraction, and they've blamed Kurds and bombed Kurdish locations in northwest Iran, as you know, which of course fits in well with a lot of patterning. Why? Because Kurds are Sunnis, and this Islamic Republic is unabashedly a 12er Shia republic, where Sunnis, not just Zoroastrians, Jews, Christians, and Baha'is are discriminated against, and where discrimination is an official fact of life, but also Sunnis. And since yesterday and over the weekend in Zahedan, which is the capital of Iran's Balochistan province, which is also Iran's largest Sunni minority province as such, and which straddles across with Pakistan's equally troubled, restive Balochistan province, as you know, historically speaking, is where security forces came in and shot protesters in a mosque, Sunni worshippers in a mosque. So now they've taken it upon themselves to paint it as a revolt hatched by Sunnis, as in both Kurds and Balochis, which is completely nonsense, since the protesters which are happening in Iran, the girls and students and others that are being killed across Iranian cities, are in the main Shias who do not stand and recognize this Islamic regime, which is thoroughly discredited and illegitimate since 1979. I mean, you have a regime here which has had controlled elections, which is something of a quasi-democracy at best, a global pariah which is at odds with every neighbor in the region. Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, UAE, Bahrain works, and whose economy is moribund. And of course, the regime is a tinderbox, Anand, because what you have in Iran is a population which is between the ages of 15 and 64, the percentile range I've just mentioned.
Yes.
68.3% of Iranians are between 15 and 64. A restive population which is highly literate and skilled, standing at 96%, jobless, a ramshackle economy, hamstrung since sanctions after 2006. So you have all the ingredients here for a flare-up. And flare-ups are not new. They've been occurring in Iran since July 1999. But every time the regime has gotten away with it, and they do because, like China, they have no qualms in shooting their own population in cold blood. And may I just pause here with the Chinese factor and the Samarkand summit, if you recollect, where Xi Jinping attended among other dignitaries
Yes.
just in the middle of September. Well, what did Premier Xi state at that Samarkand summit during the closing remarks of the conference? He stated, we cannot have any more color revolutions in our region, in China's near abroad. He was referring, of course, to these orange and other revolutions which took place in the Caucasus, in Central Asia, and of course, Iran's aborted so-called green movement revolution of 2009, when Ahmadinejad was put into office again after a royally rigged election.
Right.
That was also be stated, that China will always support Iran on these aspects, and it is supporting Iran since 2009 with surveillance technology and deep packet information technology. That is to say, Anand, if you are sitting in Tehran at an internet cafe and attempt to log into a blocked website, which obviously is clamped down, your details can be immediately picked up by the software available to Iranian intelligence and security forces. And that software in question, you may have not attempted to find that web link, obviously because it's a blocked link, but the fact that you even typed it on the keyboard could trigger off a response and they can locate where you are. And that is the technology which China has shared with the intelligence and security services in Iran.
Right, Burzin, we've got another update because we talked about Mahsa Amini and Nika Shakarami, but there is also another